What's up, y'all? It's Matt, Dlux, Today, we're building DX44 Capra with portal axles. So, hope y'all had a good weekend. Just got back from Nationals. That was a good time. Glad to see a bunch of y'all out there. Good stuff. So as you can see, got our center section here. It's already more or less assembled. I got the bearings in there. I got the bolted the ring gear to the locker. I use red Loctite on those. Both 6 bolts in here. I always use red. I don't want those coming loose. I don't want to have to ever worry about those again. And if I need to get them out, I'll use heat to break that Loctite free and worry about that later. So we're going to build this third member first. But here we got our tubes. I'm going to lay all these parts out so you can see what we got. Got our tubes. Got our C-hubs. Truss. Our knuckle bushings. Hardware. Bearings. A little ring piece. We'll get to that in a minute. Battery tray. Servo mount. Link mount. So we're going to start with the third member. Like I said, already got that all together, greased up, ready. We're going to install our bearings. So typically how I do this, since there's already a gang of grease in there, I'm not going to worry about greasing this currently right now. Big bearing goes on here. Make sure you get that good and seated. Take your other piece. Bam, like that. As you can see, this is an 8230. This is standard gear. Take your other bearing. Poke it in there. Make sure that's good and snug. Now sometimes you'll need a shim right here. Let me get a pointing device. Sometimes you'll need a shim right here between your drive shaft and this gear to keep this all snugged up. What happens is it's the nature of a helical cut gear to try to pull or push the pinion in or out as these teeth push up against these teeth. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of interference where the end of this, will hit the locker just a little bit. Usually only happen when you're turning it one direction or the other. The drive direction, it should kind of pull itself away a little bit and be nice. Now if you're turning it the other direction that's against the drive direction, it'll feel notchy and stuff. But 99% of the time, simple shim right here will fix that right up. So we'll drop him together. Y'all have noticed I've separated all of my screws more or less per size. Like there's 5 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these. I got them all separated. That way it's simpler. I'm going to start all 4. Sorry, talking over the driver, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to start all 4 of these before I snug them down. And then I'm going to do the final snug down by hand, not with the driver. Just using the driver because I'm lazy. I want to save myself some work. Come on, get in there. Preferably snug these in a X pattern, but good to go. If you guys will notice, we'll bring it up here where you can see it. These are the new injection molded DX44 housings. We finally got these in. These are much nicer, smoother, stouter parts. Very nice. But now you know. Going forward, this will be on all the axles we send out the door. And if you want to order one of these housings to replace your older printed versions, like mine, they're on the website. Now we're going to mount our tubes up. See, we got our all your truss bolts on the tube, they go here. Those go up. So this is up. This is pointing like towards you, towards your body, like your transmission. You need truss bolts on top. So I'm going to put these in. I would usually would Loctite all of these screws, but I'm just doing it on video. I'm going to go back and Loctite. I'm going to use red here. I don't ever intend to bother touch this again. So I'm going to use red Loctite, but I'm going to come back and do that. I'm going to try to build the axle for you guys. And then we'll come back, sort that. I'll sort that out on my own time. Not quite in the right spot. Once again, I'm going to go through and start all these screws before I tighten any of them down. Sometimes it can be a little tough to get that in there just straight. Hope y'all having a good week. Hope more than not, I guess, more than less of y'all made it out to Nationals this week in Pennsylvania at Roush Creek. That was a good time. Got to talk to a bunch of y'all. See a bunch of you guys putting these trucks to the test and just hammering on them. Good stuff, good stuff. Other side, we'll get him started. If you notice, these screws they're offset. See how they kind of staggered? It matches that on the housing. So long as your truss bolts are up, should be pretty good. Now these axles still use the same AR44 gear set that many of our axles use. We're moving towards using more Vanquish front and rears now, unders and overs. They just started making one of the two they didn't make for a while. I'm thinking it's maybe they didn't make overdrive for a while. They didn't carry them, but we did some talking to them and making them now. Good stuff. Somehow I misplaced a screw. Right here yonder. What did I do with it? Yeah. Y'all laughing. It's right in front of me. Kids these days. Alright, so we're not going to go through and final torque these yet. These are snug. These are still a little loose. That's fine. Next step we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this truss, we mount this truss up, and that's going to make sure that we're centered side to side. So we're going to look at it right now. Looking pretty good. We may need to torque on that a little. So the next step, we're going to start a couple of these screws on either side. With these screws, I'm going to back them off a little more. With those screws a little bit loose. That way we can ensure our alignment with both tubes. It's just as minty as it can be. And we'll come back and snug these all up again. Oh, well, this part goes. That's where this part goes. Hiya. We'll get to that in a minute, though. Connects this to that. Keeps it all from rotating. So let's start these little screws. Now, some of these screws aren't your normal 3mm. You're going to get 8 of these little, they're M2.5. And as you can see, there's already a little bit of shark bite thread locker on there already. I'm going to come back and red Loctite all of this with the OG red liquid. That's my favorite. But I'm going to start 2 of these on each side for the truss into the tube. You'll notice I'm just using the regular driver in my hand with these little threads to start with. I want to be careful of those, because sometimes I can be a little ham-fisted with stuff. I'm sure I'm not alone. See, I felt this tube rotate just a smidge when I ran this screw in by hand. So it was just a little bit out of line from where I'd eyeballed it. Alright, now we got 4 of those in the truss. We just located that. We're going to come back and snug these down. Like I said, I'm going to use red on these. You guys each have your choice of a thread locker and one you like best. I still use the OG Loctite. There's several things of it right here. Like, here's my blue. Some guys, we have pretty good luck with the Shark Bite thread locker from Carbon Works too. Works pretty good. So, I've tightened all 3 of these, but I can't get to these 2. So we're going to pull that truss, pop that right back off. Don't lose my screws. You guys see, from now until Labor Day, we're giving away our new Madhouse Sporty on the website. Every order gets you 1 entry. For every $100 that gets you, of your order, gets you another one. So details are on the website. Go check it out. That's what these axles are getting built for. They're going on a Madhouse Sporty. I'm going to build the front one here. I'll do another video. I'll build the rear axle. We'll get all that dialed in. Show you how to build those. And here in a week or so, I'll get the Madhouse chassis down here to me. I'll build the whole rig out so you guys can see what you're in for. Sweet. We're all minty there. Now let's slide that truss back on for good. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, start all these screws before you tighten any of them down all the way. There's machining tolerance as anything you would get made or make. So that just saves you some hassle if you do it that way. See, the crew wasn't playing on that Shark Bite. There's a gang of it on that screw. Way too much. Dang. Well, there's your answer. That Shark Bite stuff from Corrupt Carbon. That's sticky stuff. That stuff's on there. It ain't going nowhere. Doesn't want to move. Ah, get over here. I think you're going. And that one. I'll come through and snag these all down. Oh, another reason I'm using this. The other day, my MIP driver like this, that's this size, I had a dumb moment, and I used it to pry on something. So of course it shattered in my face because, well, that was dumb. All right, cool. There's your basic housing, all ready to rock. Next step, this little collar goes right there. Helps keep all this strong. So that way this can't rotate against this. Spreads the load out. All that good stuff. You all get it. Makes good sense. Your typical M3 screw. Once again, I would Loctite this for final assembly. But this isn't final assembly for this axle. Boom. Now we're going to set that aside for the moment. Going to build our link mount, servo mount, battery tray. That's how this goes. Now, in your bag of parts, these screws are M2.5, same as these. We went to M2.5 because the thickness of the tube, it made more sense, and it's smaller. We've tested these pretty hard. They hold up fine, so it's good to go there. But they're different from the rest of your stuff in your kit. This piece goes like so. Nope. Like that. Servo mount goes to the right. Start these screws. There it is. Now don't gun them home all tight yet. See, they kind of reach at an angle. Not perfect, but it'll work. It's good stuff. Now we'll screw our battery mount on. Goes like so. 3 more of those M2.5 screws. Battery trace printed as usual. Guys, if we could get all this stuff injection molded at a good price point, it would be. But sometimes it's not feasible at these production numbers. If you ever do break one of these printed parts, just reach out to us. We'll get you one at a good price. We're not going to rake you over the coals on a piece of printed. Sometimes it takes one hit and they break. Sometimes they last for 2 or 3 years and they're fine. Just kind of the way she goes. But if you need something, holler. We'll get it for you. There's your servo mount. If you notice, it actually uses 3 screws. 2 on this, 1 on this. Just because of fitment, that's what we had to go with. Once it's all together, it'll make sense. So now, drop this on here. The screw goes there. Looks like an M3x8 or so. That holds that to the housing. To the truss, I mean. So, next step is going to be your C-hubs. So, actually, before that, if we're putting a servo on here right now, we would go ahead and do that. We send it with these, I don't know, we're going to call them washer screws. Get it in focus where you can see it. See, it has an extra little shoulder there. Those are for the servo. They just spread that load out because the servo is really reefing on stuff. So we'll put those in there just for safekeeping. I'm not mounting a servo right this moment, but that's where they live. Alright, so next step is going to be C-hubs. These are our portal C-hubs. So they spline on. This is a standard AR60 spline. So if you have our super lights, our SS Dluxes, AR60s, XR10, all of our axles pretty much use this spline count. So this will go on those. I'm going to guess a caster right now. Typically I run about 15-20 degrees of caster. So I'm going to slide that on. Kind of guess. I'm looking down the axle. Something like that. Or, see, that's more straight up and down. I want a bit more. Usually with these you get kind of what you get with the splines. It kind of drops you in. And that's what you get. And then you can adjust the rest with your links to get it all set directly where you want it. We're going to go there, drop our screws in for that, both sides. Like I said, I would Loctite these, but not final assembly for this axle. Drop him home. Now after you got all this together, come on. Yeah. Sometimes these are fun to get started. This one's fighting me. There, we got it. There was just a little burr right there keeping it from going home. Now, when you more or less got this assembled, you want to look down the inside of your axle tube here. Can't really see it now because of the light. But make sure that none of these screws are protruding too far into here. What you don't want is your axle, any of these screws being too long because you mixed them up or grabbed the wrong screw off your table and run into your axle shaft. You don't want that. So let's slap this other side on. There we go. Got that more or less. That's the same, matched up on both sides. We'll get these knuckles on, or these C-hubs on. Then I'll pause recording, I'll retool, and I'll show you how to build all the portal stuff, how that all fits together. All right, well, there's your housing, all minty and nice like. All right, well, give me a second. Well, we'll go ahead and put these in too. Here's your axle shafts. Standard stuff. Drop them home. Bam. If you notice, there's no bearing here. It doesn't need to be a bearing. The shaft is supported in the locker at that end, and then in the knuckle on this end. So there really doesn't need to be a bearing here. Come on. Can you find the hole? I guess not. Holy hell. Ah, we found it. We got her. Sweet. So there's that. Give me some minute here. I'll kind of retool and reset up, and we'll build the knuckles. Alright guys, all laid out. Now we're going to build our portals. Got our axle shaft, inner portal box, outer portal gear, pin. There's our stub shaft. I already put the stub shaft on the lower portal gear with the pin. Had to struggle with that. That one fought me a little bit. I took a little tappy tap, she went right together, but just for clarity, that one had made me work at it. So, take her inner, drop her axle shaft through like so. Make sure she's good up and tight. This top gear, got the square in it, goes on the axle shaft side. This gear with the pin and the lower portal gear, get a little grease on there. There, I got my grease tub right there off camera. Drop her in like that. This is our heavy portal outer cover. Bearings are already in, as you can see. Slide her on like so. Come on. Wiggle, wiggle, and she drops together. Put our 4 screws in it. Where'd my driver go? Ah, sorry guys. Framing. Get in the frame, Matt. We can't see what you're doing. Defeats the purpose of the video. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to start the threads on all 4 of these, and then I'm going to run them in with the driver, because they are kind of long-winded. Those started. Check them by hand. Now, next step is this little spacer. Most of y'all are familiar with Capra stuff. Know about that. You drop out a little spacer. Down the stub shaft. And as you can see, there's a hole right there in the top. It's for you to reach through. Put your pin for your hex in. So we're going to go ahead and line that up more or less 90 degrees. The hole in the shaft and the hole here. We'll take the threads. Put those towards this side and the hex here. Drop it on, kind of more or less line it up. Take your driver. Of course, you need 3 hands to hold it all. Why wouldn't you? I would use a bit of blue Loctite on these just because there's not that much thread engagement. That's me. Drop her home, wiggle around. Alright, we got thread engagement. Snug that up. Wow. Functioning portal box. Already built the other one off camera. Boom, boom. Alright guys, now that we got our portals built, got our bushings here. These are our no slop knuckle bushings. Now, because that no slop, these things sometimes can be a bit of a bear to get started. But to go in like that, if you hold the housing more or less like this, they won't fall out and fight you the whole time. Slide our shaft in. Sometimes you got to put your thumb back here and hold the ring of pinion. Keep it from spinning so you can drop the shaft into its home. Sometimes it'll fight you a little bit because it's just the way she goes. Come on. There she went. Now that we got the axle shaft started, I'm going to grab both these good and tight. Make sure our bushings are all the way down. That one keeps wanting to pop up. There, got it started. Sometimes this is a real snug fit, guys. Right there, boom. Just kind of dropped home. That's a good snug fit. That's what you want. Little grease on there, and then let it wear in. That'll offer you the tightest, snuggest, stoutest fit. Once again, if I was doing this for end all be all, I would Loctite these in. On these, I just use blue, just a little bit. You only want it on the threads. Make sure you don't get the Loctite on the bushing itself, because then this won't play nice. So, good and snug on that. Cool. Let's install our other side. So I'll get our bushings. We'll get a little grease on those because they're going to be rotating. The housing's going to rotate around those. So you want them lubed up like that. I'm not using any special grease over here, guys. It's just some Napa brand multi-purpose grease. I've had the same tub for years. It ain't nothing special. You can use as fancy as grease as you want to, though. Put that in there. Come on, axle shaft, find your home. Don't you want to go to your home? There we go. Now we'll work this in there. That was not down all the way. Bam. Get our screw started. Here we go. Now, so that bushing's in there, like these are kind of snug, but it'll wear in. Sorry, framing, Matt, Jesus. These are snug to begin with, but like I said, those will wear in. There's grease on them. You work them a little bit, you'll feel the grease kind of loosen up. But that's not, ain't no rattle in that assembly. That's good and stout. Good stuff. Now your wheel nuts, they come included. You know how that goes. Pop one of them on either end. So next up, we got steering linkage here. Let me pick some stuff up real quick, and I'll find out where I laid it down at. Oh, here we go. So here's our steering linkage. Hold on, I'll go find my rod end driver, and we'll assemble this. See, Now I just broke out all of our steering linkage components, screws, hollow balls, rod ends. We're gonna put these together. Took me a minute, but I found my knuckle, or my rod end driver. Excuse me. We sell these on the website. Love this. Good tool. Goes right on there. Makes that simple. But we're going to start with putting our hollow balls in the rod ends. Now, if you look closely at these hollow balls, or sorry, rod ends, there's a bigger side and a smaller side. See, this one has a D. That's the larger side. This one has a two little, if you could see it. That's the smaller side. You always try to push the rod end in from the larger side. Make it last longer. So I just put them like that. Boom. Bob's your auntie. Large side. Large side. Grab. Pop. Right now, the distinction, but the longer one is your tie rod. The shorter one is your drag link. So, in case you didn't know, start these on there. Start them by hand, and we'll come back and run them down with the driver. Then always stop about there, about a millimeter or so from that shoulder. That way there's no chance of me with the driver pulling the threads out of here or over torquing it. And then also when you're ready to set your alignment, this isn't so tight that you can't just grip it and rip it with your fingers, if that makes sense. See, same deal. Stop just a hair shy of the shoulder. You can always snug it up, but you don't want to pull those threads out. See, since these are bent, I'm able to hang on to them and run these on. Just a hair shy. Yeah. Get over here. Where do you think you're going? Now, we're going to make sure that these are more or less in the same plane, end to end. Kind of look down like a gun sight. Boom, there you go. Same with these. We're going to worry about the final alignment later. This can always be adjusted in or out to dial them in. We're not too far off. I think out of play. Now, when you go to install your tie rod and drag link, we're going to turn this around, just like it is on the truck. Your drag link goes to the driver knuckle. Okay? So, we're going to use the tall screw, like that and like that. Starter right there. Shorter of the two included screws goes here. Angle's all bad for me. It's all right. Y'all need to see, not me. Snag that down. Get that up where it's supposed to be. Snag that one down. For aiming. Now, this goes here just like so. Once you had a servo mounted right here, you'd be all set. So, We got to fix our alignment though, as you can see. I don't know if you can see it or not. That's a little wonk because we left these gaps here. So we're going to pop one side of that off and address that real quick. I'm not going to get this perfect till I have the tires on, but we can get it pretty close by eyeballing. So I'm going to pull one side off, pull the screw out. I'm just going to roll that in a whole turn on one side. And roll that one in a whole turn on the other side. Then we're going to see where we stand. I like a little bit of toe out on the front of my crawlers, but not a lot. Let go. Yeah, that looks like it seems to be a little toed out, but that's fine. Like I said, I'll adjust that when tires are on it. Well, there you go, guys. There's your front DX44 Capra width axle. Top to bottom, front to back. That's how you build it. Battery goes here. Oh, some of y'all are going to wonder, what battery fits there, Matt? Pretty much the same batteries we've been using for a while. Those 384 cells or a 450 or 503 cell. But just, you know, for the numbers guys among us, that battery tray is roughly 17 millimeters wide. Got 58.5 millimeters long. And our depth is, come on. Of course, the batteries, we'll go depth to the mount right here is 21.8. Now, to hold your battery down, we're going to show you this. Some folks have missed this. I talked to somebody the other day. I'll show you how this is probably the wrong length rubber band, but you get the idea. We're going to run a rubber band through here. Show you how that all works. Need to go find the right length rubber band, or you can cut and glue them just like that. But you loop that through on that hole right. Oh, sorry, loop that through on the hole right there, and then come around and loop it on this other side. You get it poked in there. Once again, my gorilla fingers are not making this easy. And of course it's too long, but is there a battery here handy? Of course there isn't. Wait. Find a... hold on. Here's an old battery. This is an old... messing up my whole... man, come on now. Here's an older battery. This is a... I think this is a GeForce 500 3-cell. Just like that. So, this one's got Velcro on both sides from being mounted in different trucks. You know, those things happen. But that's how it works, guys. Any questions, comments, put them in the doobly-doo down below. And next we'll be building the rear axle for the same truck. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See ya.